Hi, Roger. I decided to redo it because I felt like the last speech, I didn't carry the audience with me, and I felt like it wasn't personal to be an icebreaker. So I thought I could do it a little bit better. And so this is, I think, my third time writing the speech. The title of my speech is The Lottery Ticket You May Not Be Cashing In. Have you ever had one of those days when everything just works out? You find a parking spot near the grocery store. Your kids somehow get in the car on time. I like to call those days the days I should have bought a lottery ticket. But I've started to believe those days aren't luck, they're perspective. My name is Casey Hill. I am an educator, mom of three, a wife, and this year I am working on something called reframing. When I was a child, I remember leaning towards the television. My heart was pounding. Tears were welling in my eyes, watching Peter Pan plead with the audience. Do you believe? Say you believe. Clap your hands. Because Tinkerbell was dying. And somehow we believed clapping could bring her back. And when she revived, we didn't just believe in fairies. We believed belief itself had power. As an adult, I realized that scene was never really about magic. It was the power of belief because adults get poisoned by stories, stories handed to us on a silver platter through other people's fears, doubt dressed up as advice, fear disguised as realism. I've heard those stories. At 27, I bought a house. People said, "Are you sure? Most people get married first." At 30, I was told I probably couldn't have children. She put me on medication that made me throw up. I believed that story for a year until another doctor said that diagnosis was inconclusive. A month later, I was pregnant. Then there was this another story about debt. You'll never pay off 200,000. You'll have that forever. But my fiance, now husband, and I made a different plan. Small wedding, make extra payments with extra jobs, shared purpose, debt gone in under 2 years. And I realized the turning point in my life didn't begin when circumstances changed. They began when belief changed, when the frame changed. I didn't fully understand that until I was sitting in a pirate ship on Peter Pan's flight at Disneyland with my children beside me. The bar drops in your lap, the ship floats, and suddenly you leave the nursery window. Safety, predictability, what you've always known. Leaving the room of old beliefs, bright, warm, comforting. Entering the darkness of light, or the darkness of night, light reflecting off rooftops and streets. Big Ben glowing over the city. Time as the focal point of life. It was the same city we saw from the nursery window, only now we were above it. Same reality, different perspective. And then my son pointed down and shouted, "Mom, look! Look how small everything is." Exactly. Things look different when you rise above them. From the ground, problems look enormous. From perspective, they look manageable. And I thought about one of the hardest seasons of my life, holding my father's hand as they thought he was dying during COVID. At ground level, it felt crushing. But when I asked, what love is surrounding me? I saw a different picture. Some people disappeared. Others stood like lighthouses in the dark, helping me get home amongst the storm. Same reality, different frame. My dad came out of it, but my relationships with other people changed. My world shifted. Then our house flooded. We spent Thanksgiving in a hotel, And by Christmas, we were here in Disneyland. And I asked myself, what if setbacks aren't punishment? What if they're altitude training? Then the ride enters Neverland. Pirates, cannons, Captain Hook, danger. But Peter Pan doesn't see the threat. He sees adventure. And I thought, adult life is often an adventure with bad marketing. But what if it's all an invitation to grow? Then comes the crocodile. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Isn't that adulthood? The clock of age, regret, fear? What if the clock is guiding you? What if gratitude became an action plan, not just appreciating what brings joy, but creating more of it, repeating it, living on purpose? I created a family motto when my oldest son was born. We are a team, always a team. We say it unloading groceries, running late, facing hardships, and sometimes it means reframing in real time. One night after practice, my son was upset because his Chick-fil-A sandwich had gone cold. I was tired and overwhelmed, and when he mentioned it a third time, I snapped. I reminded him how hard I worked just to get dinner there at all. Later, I sat down with him. I said, "You deserve a hot meal." I handled that poorly, and we came up with a better plan for next time. That moment taught me belief isn't pretending everything is perfect. It's choosing what story leads forward. Because I believe I'm raising future leaders, and leaders learn from mistakes, and I am modeling what it means to believe. Believe that we can own our mistakes and use course correction to still be successful. Then the ride ends, the ship lowers, the bar lifts, and you step out. Strollers, crowds, reality. But the point of the ride was never to stay in fantasy. It was to return differently. Because belief doesn't deny reality, it gives reality meaning, and meaning can help you fly. Maybe that's what Peter Pan was teaching us all along. Not how to escape life, but how to see it differently. Maybe Neverland was never a place. Maybe it was a perspective. And maybe when Peter asked, "Do you believe?" he wasn't asking whether fairies exist. He was asking, "Do you believe in a new story is possible?" My dream is to build an online business that someday supplements my income as an educator. But if I'm honest, that dream has its own Captain Hooks, self-doubt, self-sabotage, and a ticking clock. Are you ready to walk the plank? Failures at its finest, learning to be vulnerable, and try not to take things personally. I hope to fail faster and beat the clock, like we did with debt. Because if belief could revive Tinkerbell, maybe it can revive something in us too. And maybe you're already sitting on a winning lottery ticket, but you haven't cashed it in. Because the ticket was never luck, it was belief. And sometimes that is how we learn to fly.